At 3:45 in the morning, a truck driver saw a little girl walking alone down a dark highway. It was raining. She was 9 years old, and she wasn't supposed to be there. When the driver turned his truck around to help her, she ran straight into the woods, and that was the last confirmed time anyone saw her alive. But here's what makes this case different. She didn't just disappear. She packed a bag. She locked the door behind her, and she left without waking anyone. Nearly a year later, that backpack was found, not thrown away, not burned, but buried, double wrapped in plastic, 26 miles from her home. Someone took the time to preserve it. Why? And who was she planning to meet at 3:45 in the morning? During a storm? On a school night? Because 9-year-olds don't just walk into the darkness for no reason, unless they believe someone is waiting. Tonight on Unforgotten Chronicles, the disappearance of Asha Degree. February 13th, 2000. It was Sunday night in Shelby, North Carolina. Asha Degree was 9 years old. She lived in a small house with her mother, father, and older brother. By every account, loving home, stable home, protective parents. There were no reports of abuse, no signs of family instability, no history of running away. That weekend had been an ordinary weekend. Church, basketball game, family time. But there was one detail people sometimes overlook. Aisha had fouled out of her basketball game that Saturday. She cried. Her father later said she was sensitive, hard on herself. That night, a storm moved through the area. Heavy rain, strong winds, and the power went out just for a little while. The family went to bed around 9:30 p.m. At that point, everything was normal. Sometime between 2:30 and 4 a.m., Aisha got out of bed. She did not wake her brother. She did not turn on the lights. She put on her regular clothes. She packed her backpack, and she left. The front door was locked behind her. That detail matters. This was not chaotic. It was deliberate. At 3:45 a.m., two separate truck drivers reported seeing a small figure walking along Highway 18 alone and in the rain. One driver turned around out of concern. As his headlights swept across her, she ran. She ran into the woods. Why run from help? Was she afraid? Was she told not to talk to strangers? Or was she meeting someone? Police later confirmed the sightings were credible. These were not imagination. A 9-year-old really was out there in a storm before dawn. Now, these next clues often get glossed over, but it changes the tone of this case. Searchers later discovered that Aisha had likely taken shelter in a nearby tool shed owned by a local business. Inside, investigators found candy wrappers, a pencil, a hair bow consistent with what she wore, and something else, a photograph. A photograph of a young girl, not Aisha. No one has ever publicly identified the girl in that photo. Why is that there? Was it connected or coincidence? This is where the case begins to shift, because now we're no longer looking at a spontaneous runaway. We're looking at a movement, stops, possible staging points. Someone may have known she was coming. Fast forward 18 months later, construction workers in Burke County uncovered something strange, buried, wrapped in double plastic trash bags, a backpack. It belonged to Asha. Inside were personal items, including a new Kids on the Block t-shirt that did not belong to her family, and a copy of the book McElliot's Pool. The burial location, about 26 miles from her home. Let that settle. Someone transported that bag, wrapped it carefully, buried it. That suggests intention, not panic, not accident. Why preserve it in plastic? Why not destroy it? Why not discard it somewhere random? Burial feels symbolic, or protective, or hiding. And still, no confirmed trace of Asha herself. Now, there are a number of theories that circle this case. We will get into a few of them. Theory 1, grooming. Some investigators have considered the possibility that Asha was groomed. Did someone gain her trust? Convince her to meet them? If so, how? There was no internet access in her home, no cell phone, no known suspicious adults in her immediate circle. And yet, children do not usually leave safe homes at 3:45 a.m. in the morning during a storm without a reason. Theory 2, planned adventure gone wrong. Some speculate she's planned an adventure, maybe inspired by a book, maybe trying to prove something to herself after a basketball game. But 9-year-olds don't typically bury their own backpacks 26 miles away from home. That requires transportation. Theory 3, opportunistic encounter. Could someone have seen her walking and taken advantage? Possible. But that doesn't explain the shed stuff, the photo, the deliberate burial. This case feels layered, and that's why it lingers. The most unsettling part isn't what happened after she left. It is why she left at all. Her parents have constantly maintained she was afraid of the dark, afraid of storms. So what overrides fear? Trust, hope, or pressure? Something made that dark highway feel safer than staying at home. And that's the part investigators still struggle with. Years have passed. There have been renewed investigations, new leads, public pleas, but no resolution. Her disappearance remains one of North Carolina's most haunting unsolved cases because it doesn't fit a clean narrative. It doesn't feel random, and it doesn't feel simple. It feels like a story with a missing chapter. Return to the image of a small figure on a dark road, rain hitting the pavement, headlights sweeping across her. She runs into the woods. That moment, that decision, is where everything changed. If someone told her to meet them, they have never spoken. If someone saw opportunity, they've never confessed. And somewhere in this story, there is one detail someone remembers, one memory, one overlooked truth. Until then, she remains unforgotten. If you appreciate the information put out in this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And remember, never forget.